Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, everybody. This your brother, Mr. Ellipsism. Chilling today with my brother Thomas, Mr. Sincere.
All right.
And I'm going to let you tell them the title of this live stream.
Yeah, so this was a little bit tongue in cheek, and then I was having some fun with the AI, and it basically is a solutions based way of looking at how we want to approach the next 4 years to infinity, because there's some realities that are on the horizon that you have to deal with, like when this new administration comes in. He's talking about tariffs and deportation. That's actually going to potentially encourage inflation to be exasperated, because if you take all of this low wage labor away, well, in order to replace that labor, so they always say that people in the United States aren't willing to do the jobs. They're just not willing to do the job for slave labor, right? And so I only some of this stuff I know only because, like I said, I was an agribusiness major in college, and so what happens is, like, with farm labor, anything that's deemed as farm labor, they actually are able to pay below the minimum wage, and like they're given, like, if you ever look at the show Yellowstone, it gives you like a stark reality of what agricultural rural lifestyles like. They have like these ranch hands or farm hands that do the work, and they live in like squalor, like they live in like bunks in a bunkhouse where they got to share all their resources. They get very meager pay. It's hard, backbreaking, dangerous work. And so the only people that they're usually able to get to do these jobs are people who are not documented. And how this ties in is that what that means is that food may go up. You may see the price of different retail items go up, because if they do mass deportation, they do the tariffs they're talking about, then there's retaliatory tariffs, which in turn drives up prices, right? So when I said pimp smacking inflation, learn the tricks and don't be tricked, this is first about a mindset shift, a paradigm shift in how we consume, because one of the challenges we have is that we've been taught to consume, especially growing up in New York, and the whole can attest to this, is that we're always taught to consume brands. Like, for instance, if you go and say, for instance, you have a child, right, and they need, some sanitary diapers, they say go to the store and get some Pampers. Or if you want, like, like people say, I want some soda, go get me a Coke. Like, we're just very brand sensitive. And what you find is that in a lot of cases, you can save yourself money by not being as brand sensitive, or by being more strategic on how you buy brands. So one of the first items of discussion is embracing value over brand. So unless there's a significant quality difference, go for generic or store brand options, especially for non-consumable items. And so what I mean is, like, you can go downscale. So if you're like in a moderate to major size, metropolitan area, you know, you could go to places like Dollar General, or you can go to places like a Dollar Tree, and find certain things like your cleaning items, stuff like that, at a relative discount. For instance, with Dollar General, they have a coupon program where, like, if you every Saturday you can get it digitally, or you could get it when you go in there and you buy something like during the week, whatever. They'll give you $5 off of $25 spent, right? Some people say, well, that's not a big deal. Well, if you do it the right way, you can spend up to $25 and get that $5 off. And you could do that multiple times. They don't have a limit on how many times you do that. So you could get an automatic 20% off. And Dollar General's prices are close to in line with like almost like Walmart or Target on most items. So, you can save money doing that. They actually have a dollar section inside of Dollar General to compete with Dollar Tree, because Dollar Tree actually raised their prices to $1.25 on most items, and they have variation, right? The other thing is also when you shopping for things by unit price, and what I mean is that, for instance, they'll give you like a price on something, and you think just because it's bigger, it's a volume discount. But then if you look at the unit price on certain things, they actually tell you how much it costs per ounce or per gram. So it's very deceptive what they'll do, but they'll make it seem like if you buy more of it, your price is going down. But if you look at the unit price, sometimes it's actually higher. So
Mm-hmm.
learning how to shop by unit price, and this information is actually available on the shelf. They have to disclose that. So if you look and you start shopping by unit price, sometimes you're able to get a better deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's different sites that are available, namely things like Living Social, um, Groupon, Retail Be Not, and there's other sites where you can buy things like, I don't know if you noticed. You know there's a whole marketplace for discounted like gift cards.
Yes.
So that's actually became like, this was something that actually started going back to the financial crisis. Because I think at one point there used to be expiration dates, and then there was a court case that made it where they couldn't because it's cash, so cash
Mm-hmm.
should never expire. So there's a lot of times that people get gift cards and they never use them, or it's a place they don't want, and they have a secondary market, and so you can actually buy some um, retail discount cards, or I should say, gift cards for like sometimes 80 cents on the dollar, and then you can turn around and use that same gift card at a place that you would shop at anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just in that alone, you're talking about say, and these things don't seem like they're a lot, but when you have prices going up constantly, you have to find ways to make your dollar stretch, right? And that's just on a micro level. So looking at different types of stores, for instance, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Aldi or with Lidl. So
Mm-hmm.
these German brands, and they're known for, Lidl to me, I think, is better than Aldi because they don't they offer a similar value proposition, but it's not as like penny pincherish. Like, with Aldi, you got to put the damn quarter in the shopping buggy.
Yeah, I
Oh
just
yeah,
found out about that when I went to Atlanta. But that's the first time I've ever even heard of that. Like you got to put the
yeah,
quarter in to get the shopping cart. Like what the? I was like, what the hell is this?
yeah. Well, their thought process is behind it that when you put your quarter in and know that you'll get it back, they don't have to keep people outside collecting the cards because that's a labor expense. That's
Mm,
one of those things. It's like a activity based like accounting thing, like activity based accounting. Like, you have to account for actual activity that goes on in the business. So that person who's taking the carts from inside, that they could be doing something else to keep the store in order. So by making you do that, it's a habit thing. It's like Pavlov's dog kind of deal.
right.
So, but Lidl, they don't do that, and it basically is the the German competitor to Aldi. Um, and they have, like I said, it's kind of like the difference between Walmart and Target. Like, Lidl to me has a better shopping experience, and it's like more inviting.
Hmm.
And they have, similar, better quality. And then sometimes Lidl even has better deals. Like, I remember
You said it's
not
called legal.
Lidl, Lidl.
LID. Oh, okay.
It's a yellow and red. It's really bright, and like, hell,
Hmm.
I went and bought organic chicken breast. It was a crazy sale. I got them for like 10 pounds for like $15 of a whole white chicken breast.
Mm.
I mean, it was enough chicken breast for damn near like 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like from $15. And so, that's the other thing. Signing up for different stores is a way to save money because I'm not big on being a data mining tool, but like by signing up for these store sites, it gives them information on your buying habits. And what they'll do is they'll send you discounts exclusive to you based on their buying. They encourage you to come back because what they want is engagement, right? And so by you submitting your information, it tells them what you buy, and then the whole idea is to get you to buy something else. So, for instance, Harris Teeter, right? Harris Teeter is owned by Kroger, but they allowed Harris Teeter to keep that brand because of the brand recognition. Like Harris Teeter started in North Carolina out of the Charlotte area. We even have a road called W.T. Harris Boulevard, right? So Harris Teeter is known for their quality. One of the things that Harris Teeter sells, and this is like I've not seen a deal better than this. So Alaskan wild caught sockeye salmon is one of the healthiest sources of protein you can get, and they sell it on sale. Like they'll usually ship it in, and it usually will start off at $17.99 a pound, and then like after like 1 or 2 days or so for $9.99 a pound. And
Wow.
I mean, and this is amazing quality salmon. It's like that salmon is that extra pink. They don't put any dyes in it. The
Right.
natural color is extra pink. So we're willing to give up a little bit of information, they'll send you the EVIC, which is their online, and it's like the deepest discounts because their pricings are slightly higher than even like regular supermarkets, Harris Teeter, because they cater to they're usually more affluent areas, quote unquote. But like I said, they have very good quality on their meats and stuff like that. Another way to save money is like if you're into fresh produce, is going to the farmers market. Because at the farmers market, if you buy enough quantity, you can actually negotiate with them because they're not set up like the way a retailer is, where they have an idea of what it costs for them to, put something out for it to be consumed. And so if you say to them, okay, I want to buy $100 worth of stuff, a lot of cases they just throw in extra stuff. But if you say, hey, if I pay $100 worth of stuff, can I get XYZ quantity? And I would compare it against, what you would get at like supermarket, right?
Do they have a lot of farmers markets in Charlotte?
They got a couple of them. There's one major one that's over by where the old Coliseum used to be at, and then there's one like near the South Carolina border. Like there's a town called Pineville, and there's a place called Highway 51, and there's like a flea market, farmers market over there. There used to be a lot more, but I think the combination of how much it costs to be out there and stuff like that, it's just people just aren't as prone to do it as it used to be. But there's a couple of them. There's a couple. There's the two major ones I know of. Those two. I see a couple around like some of the outlier areas, like where there's like more localized flair to it, where it's like people in the neighborhood, like they do it like seasonally.
I know the two major ones in New York. There's one at Grand Army Plaza every Saturday. There's a pretty big farmers market, and then there's one downtown Brooklyn, like near the
Mm.
courthouses.
In the Bronx, they got there used to be a place that was under like near close to like Yankee Stadium and the Bruckner. So yeah, you
Mhm.
can in the city, but oddly enough, like you can get good deals on produce in New York because of the competition. I would say sometimes like and then if you go to like an extremely rural area, just because the input costs are less, their deals are going to be different. So there's ways you can save money if you want to eat healthy. It's just you have to compromise on maybe it doesn't look the prettiest, like like because they don't have all of the processing that they do because they'll wash the fruit and polish it up with paraffin wax and stupid shit like that. Like so,
Mhm.
going to the farmers market if you want healthy produce is a way that you can save money as well. This is one that some people may or may not have thought of, but forming cooperatives. This is the basis of cooperative economics. Like if you are individual, and you don't have to be a business, but like if you got really close relationships with friends and family, and you guys can come up to an agreement, like, hey, we're not going to be as brand loyal. We're going to settle on a few items that we know that we're going to use in abundance. What you could do is get together and then form a cooperative, and then go approach certain companies to buy from them on a wholesale level. And usually that what that requires is that you have to form an entity, but as I've showed hold up in the past, it doesn't really cost much to form an entity. It's like a couple $100. But the long term savings you can get by forming this cooperative, you come up with, you can have a little meeting and say these are the items you're looking to procure, and then you can go and you can and the companies will respond back to say, hey, we're a small cooperative looking to buy things. Because if you go to them and say, we're looking to buy a certain quantity, they let you know like what is the minimums. It takes them usually a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even better to contact them through social media. But the bottom line is like you can sometimes get better pricing by forming a cooperative, and instead of paying retail prices, you're paying wholesale prices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of the things that people like, one of the, I guess, lesser means of trying to find better pricing is Google Shopping. Can you put Google Shopping on the screen?
Hold on. Let's see. See. You see it? Can you see it?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. So if you use Google Shopping, yeah, I can see it. So if you, hold on a second. I had to. All right. So if you use Google Shopping, what you want to do is try to be as specific as possible on what you're looking for. So you can start with a general Google search, and then, or you can go to whatever store site that you're looking for, right? So let's say it's a piece of electronics, right? Maybe you go to Best Buy because they have the large selection. What you could do is go find the exact item by its name, and then go to Google Shopping and put quotation marks around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you do that, it'll focus in your results.
Give me an example because I can do it now.
Yeah, so let me go to look at a TV brand. So 75-inch TV. That's probably gonna be hot this year. Like we need a bigger TV, right? So let's see.
Why are you looking for that? I'm gonna look for a gimbal.
Look for what?
A gimbal for the phone.
A gimbal flip phone.
Gimbal for the phone. You know, like when you do the selfies.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was called gimbal.
Can you see it?
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I didn't know it was called a gimbal. All right,
DJ Osmo.
so for instance, right, the Samsung 75-inch class Q80D series QLED TV, right? Can I can I send this to you? The the item.
I can type it. Samsung 75-inch QD.
No,
QLD.
no. If I put this in the chat somewhere, so I can you can just copy and paste.
Yeah, put it in the chat room.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ronan. I didn't see you had asked a question. I'm gonna put his question on the screen.
Yeah, I didn't even see it either.
Can you
I'll
see his
put this.
question?
Where is that? I have been legal in South Jersey. Hold on a second. How about local farms that sell produce? When I lived in the mountains in North Jersey, used to go to a lot of the local farms to get veggies. Yes, yes, there are some farms that will let in visitors. But a lot of times they often come to the farmers market too, just because it's a distribution network for them. How do I put this?
You don't have access to the chat?
Do you see that? I just put something in there.
Well, I think you put it privately. Okay, I see it. So put that in quotes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and what it'll do is it'll maybe give you some results and refine your. So that way, it's not giving you so much random stuff.
Boom.
And then if you look to the side, you can actually do some filtering. It'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you like where it's at nearby. You could give it a price range.
Mm-hmm.
And the more detail sometimes can be good, but then sometimes can be bad because it can really restrict your results. So, like for instance, with TVs, there's different technologies. There's the QLED and the OLED, and some of it has to do with the liquid crystal display and all that other stuff. Like, if you're really like wonky into that stuff, that's where it can kind of get a
Mm-hmm.
little bit weird because you're trying to like refine the results down too much. But like, if you use the Google Shopping, like I said, it'll tell you potentially where it's at nearby and at what
Mm-hmm.
price. Because there's some people who don't want to embrace technology. Cause I got one of my family members is kind of like just like, well, you just need to get out and go shop around, but time we can't get our time back, right? So most yeah, maybe you walk to the store and you stumble on a deal, but guess what? Stores advertise, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so if they're not in a space where they can afford to advertise, how likely is it they're going to be able to give you the best deal?
Right.
That's a function of supply, demand, and distribution, right? One of the ways, for instance, one of the little known things, like for instance, Best Buy has an outlet, right? So, in fact, if you pull up Best Buy outlet, they got stuff that's either like open box or slightly like bruised, and you
Mm-hmm.
could get a deal there, right? And it's the same quality, and you could get the same warranties as it's new, right? And that's another thing is getting proper warranty. Like for instance, if you get a warranty, you want to know is there a deductible like a Shurion and like matter of fact, you get some of the best warranty deals. Even though I'm not a fan of Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
Amazon has better negotiated warranty deals. If you buy from them, like the warranty, if you were to go to a Shurion or a Shurion and look at how much their warranties cost on their own versus what you can get through Amazon, they're gonna be better through Amazon because of once again Amazon's distribution network, and so you get a better deal in a lot of cases. And so what you want to find out is like what the useful life of that particular appliance is or whatever. Like a good place, like for instance, like some people say, well, Consumer Reports is biased, but there's other things depending upon what you talk about. Like with cookware, there's America's Test Kitchen, which is on YouTube, 2.5 million subscribers. I was getting ready to buy a pot, right? That for cooking that was non-stick, but I also didn't want all of the stuff that comes with like with the flaking off of the harmful chemicals. So Gordon Ramsay was advertising this thing called Hexclad. So I was damn near ready to spend your whole. I was open. I was ready to spend like $150 because I like Gordon Ramsay, right? I like the way he
Mm-hmm.
kind of like is entertaining when he's doing his teardowns and stuff. And when I went to research it, they said it was trash. I went to America's. I just happened to stumble on America's Test Kitchen, and
Mm-hmm.
there was another brand that was one third the price that they tested by taking 50 eggs with no butter and no lubricant and putting it in there, and it fried the egg without leaving any residue behind. Whereas with the Hexclad, it couldn't even last 2 eggs. So I actually ended up buying that, and so and they actually have like a similar like 10-year limited warranty and all this other good stuff. So one way to save money over the long term is buying better quality at a decent price, right? So so we're going to go from the micro level to kind of the macro level. And what I mean is like now we're talking about your larger ticket items. So for instance, things like your insurance, right? A lot of times people pay for insurance, and a lot of times they don't realize that, a part of the cost of your insurance is ongoing commissions to the insurance agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where online insurance has become so popular because, for instance, I have Progressive, right? I used to be the Farm Bureau. Farm Bureau is actually pretty good. Most states have a Farm Bureau, and so they're called Farm Bureau because it started, to service, local, farmers and stuff like that. They actually have pretty decent rates, but they have really large increases. Like I think one year they went up like 15%. I was like, oh no. So I started doing research. So with Progressive, like for full coverage, and this includes comprehensive and collision, I only pay $400 every 6 months. I have $1,000 deductible, but I don't care about that because I have credit cards and stuff like that. So if I have a collision where I'm at fault or whatever, then I paid $1,000 deductible. But based on my track record of being a fairly safe driver for a long time, at
Mm-hmm.
this point, it makes sense for me to go for the higher deductible just to get the lower premium because it pays itself back over time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another um little known site, Answer Financial, they're a broker and they offer property and casualty products. So even if you don't have the best overall like credit, they sometimes can get you a little because the property and casualty insurance is unfortunately a function of your credit as well as your claims history.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you've had like claims and it goes into what this database called the Clue database, you're gonna have problems. And so especially if you like living in like a urban area where they got a lot of claims, that's why like New York has like some of the worst rates because of scams and just overall just the density of the population, just the potential for hazards of this. That's why if you go to areas that like for instance like I hate to say it like the less densely populated areas that are mainly Caucasian like Montana, they pay dirt cheap for insurance. It's like that's why like certain people will try to like recommend that to you, but the only problem is if you say that your car is gonna be garage there and you get into an accident, now you gotta explain it, right? But in any event, Answer Financial is a broker. You got Insurion, you got Insure.com. There's a couple of different places. Once again, you could use Google to put in like in your search results, like top online property casualty insurance broker. There's bankrate.com, which I think is an Intuit company at this point. They have insights on banking services and insurance like that. Something I think I just told Hope about recently. Fidelity Investments of all places, they'll actually let you if you have a cash management account or an account with them in general, they'll actually let you wire funds domestically for free.
Mm.
Whereas most places you have to spend 15, 20, $25 to initiate a wire. Credit unions are probably usually the cheapest. I think there's like one or two that may do it for as little as $10, but like if instead of doing like an ACH, which is like Zelle or through your bank, if you want something to get there quickly,
Mm-hmm.
Now wires are damn near almost like instantaneous at this point. Like if you send a wire, I want to say now by as late as 4 o'clock cut off Eastern Standard Time, it's
Mm-hmm.
usually the same day. If it's like for a major business transaction, like if you're selling a car or whatever the case may be, it's higher ticket items because Zelle has like limitations on what you can send at one time depending on the bank. Um, Negotiation. Like people don't realize if you go to certain retail, Home Depot doesn't want to lose business to Lowe's or Walmart, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
So once you do your initial online research on and do a market survey to figure out what the pricing is, go then and just play them against each other. Say, hey, I saw this at Lowe's. I was wanting you to do to help me out. If you was like you have like a project at your home that you're looking to do or do any type of renovation or upgrades, they actually have a pro desk where the contractors go. And if it's a sizable enough order, they might beat the price by 10 to 15%. And that could be significant. So, something that would have cost you 5,000, you might be able to get 4,500, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, be able to negotiate a discount tire, for instance. Discount tire has the best tire warranty bar none. They actually merge with Tire Rack, but I tell people to go to Discount Tire because once again, they'll compete with Walmart directly. Walmart is going to beat them on price most often. There's certain tires you can't get from Discount Tire because some of the like Walmart has this purchasing power. They get tires specific to them. But the difference is once again is that Discount Tires warranty is better. So I'll give you an example. I've had to replace they got so much construction going on down here. I've had to replace 3 tires in 12 months. Now
Wow.
imagine that to come out your pocket. Like my tires cost because I got an 18-inch wheel. They usually cost anywhere from 200 to $300. I usually go for the tires that have the higher mileage. But I've actually learned something about that too, because Discount Tire actually has data on, even though the mileage warranty they give you, if they say 80,000, it's sometimes the average customer is only getting 67,000 out of it. Some of it has to do with like how you drive and where you drive. But with their warranty, you pay for it per tire, and like because it comes with a warranty already, but it's prorated. So it's
Mm-hmm.
based on your tread depth that you have left. So if you buy the tire, and let's say on your car you had 80,000 miles on it, right? And then when you bring in the tire because of some kind of damage or whatever the case may be, and you got 95,000, they're going to take that tread depth and figure out like, okay, well, we're going to prorate your warranty and give you the tire at this discounted price. But if you pay the extra for the enhanced warranty, you'll pay for the rebalancing and the new warranty. You get a whole brand new tire for like $30.
Mm.
So, like I said, in the past year, I probably saved almost like $700 in new tires just because I had that enhanced warranty. Plus, like I said, I didn't pay top dollar for the tire because I went to Walmart to get the lowest price for the tire and then have them beat the price or match the
Right.
price. So, once again, just knowing how to consume can help you. And I learned all this stuff, like I said, from being in like the mortgage and the insurance industry, having to always because people are comparison shopping, and you talk to people over time, and that's how and learn about some of the stuff. Another place where you can save money is your automobile servicing. So what I tell people is when you first buy your vehicle, the best thing for you to do is go to the dealership one time. And here's why. Because they're wanting your business long term. And the first time that you go to them, a lot of times they'll do a complimentary, like bumper to bumper inspection. Sometimes it might be a nominal cost, but what you want to get out of that visit from them is make them give you like, and they'll do this usually without you asking, the entire maintenance schedule. So things that you need to get done and when you need to get done. And then they give you a cost of how much those things are, right? Then you can go to either someone locally that's also so there's a certification body called the ASE. This is basically because there's a lot of people who become mechanics, but they're not formally trained. They just know how to do things. But those are like, and almost as they just a shade tree, but they just have a natural aptitude for it. But there's actually a governing body that, for quality purposes, that if you see ASE, they've been formally trained. And so these people have, higher level like expertise, like master mechanics. And so,
I'm glad you talked about cars because I want to ask you a question about that.
okay, okay.
Um, it seems to me, and you tell me if I'm wrong or not. Does it make sense? Like the new cars, like the electric cars, to me, it seems like it's the equivalent of how a computer is. Like every 6 months, it becomes obsolete. What sense does it make to get an electric car and buy one? If
Uh,
by like if in 6 months, like the technology is going to be obsolete, like why buy an electric car?
mm, I don't know because software outpaces hardware, so the car is really more of a hardware thing. Um, I would say, like in the case of like Tesla, their value proposition is if you have I would say kind of like a closed loop energy system in your home, meaning that like there's people on YouTube that have done this who have like solar and they have backup batteries and they really know how to economize.
Hmm.
I would say that's what the ideal situation, especially if you live in a place like a Texas, right, where you have ample sunlight all the time. Like there's people who actually living their life where they got like a Tesla that gets 350 miles to charge. And they got solar panels and they got a backup battery, and they're basically making the most out of their usage. Especially
Hmm.
if you don't do any long distance driving, like you essentially are saving money from the standpoint of you're not paying for gas and you're not paying for high electric bills.
Right.
So it would make sense, I think, in that scenario. I would say because at one point, I had a Tesla that I was renting for a little while just to get a feel for it because I wanted to see if this was a long term. And
Hmm.
I don't know, I'm still on the fence because I have a line of credit available to me to where I could get one because like a Model X, you can get a Model X that's like 3 to 4 years old and maybe get an extended warranty for around 50 something thousand. But the question is the money that you're saving in gas, even with the cost of like charging, how much is the delta in terms of the insurance? Because a Tesla is cost a lot more to insure
Hmm.
because of like they don't have a dealership network. You have to send the car in to get repairs done, right? And so now you're out without the car. So if you have to think about all that type of stuff, so you have when you drive a Tesla, you gotta be extra careful because like the amounts of the claims can just be astronomical because like they're just not set up like a normal. That's why they're not available in certain states because I want to say in New Jersey they sued Tesla because like the way the dealership model works is like it promotes small business because dealerships for the most part, with the exception of like your Rick Hendricks of the world, are small businesses, and
Hmm.
so they felt like Tesla not allowing people to have a dealership was impinging on their ability to make a living. So they just don't do business in that state, I believe. I could be
But am
wrong.
I, but am I right in the sense that because like when you have computers, you do have the hardware and you can get software updates, but at some point, the hardware is not compatible with the updates. Like you can only update it for so long before you have to change the entire platform for the
Like
new.
Apple, yeah, Apple does
Yeah,
that. But in the case of Tesla, I don't think that's the case because the functionality is for you to drive,
right.
right? And so, like I said, if you are in a situation where you can control like how much energy you're consuming. You have solar panel, you have batteries. I think it can be a good deal because, like I said, it's really cause Tesla. Having a Tesla is really for someone who is an urban dweller. I hate to say because like you got to have the infrastructure in case you do run out of energy. But if you basically go to work, you go pick up your kids or your spouse, whatever, and you're driving maybe 60 miles a day, right? And you're charging. It's actually perfect because you're not going to be killing the car. You're not because they depreciate pretty fast. See, that's the other thing about it too.
So
They
does it make
depreciate
sense to buy it
pretty
or to
fast.
lease it?
Say again.
Does it make sense to buy it, purchase it, or to lease it?
I'm not a fan of leasing because of things that's happened. You may go over the lease now. The recapture on it is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've never been a fan of leasing. I think leasing can work if you own a business and you want to use the leasing that way as long as you're mindful of it. I mean, 'cause you could pay for like, up to 20, 25,000 miles, but I don't know. I've never been a big fan of leasing. Um, but like I
Because
said,
I'm just looking at it from the sense that the cars are more compatible with computers than they were with old school cars. It's like you got a car, it lasted for a while, and I just don't see the same thing with the Tesla. But I guess time will tell.
yeah, he's like, he's the type where he's the ultimate capitalist in terms of, like he probably at this point, knowing him, he probably has a Tesla that already can. Well, I know he does because his roadster that he has, I think he said can do up to like 600 miles of charge.
And I shouldn't just say Tesla because there's a lot of electric cars out now.
Yeah,
So I'm just saying electric cars in general, not so much specifically Tesla.
but he's the leader. Like just to be clear, he's like I know the Chinese are trying to make inroads because they want to. That's kind of what they do. They'll copy something from somewhere else and then they try to like bring the price down. But like, make no mistake, he's literally the leader in that space and like where he's at with battery technology stuff like that. Like,
Hmm.
I have to just give him his flowers. Like, it really like is a magnificent vehicle. Most people will tell you once you drive it, they don't want to drive anything else.
Hmm.
Now there are the horror stories about like I think there was a case where like there was the batteries that combusted or like once it was out of warranty, it was like they had all these problems. But for the most part, man, I'd say a it was a nice driving experience, super quiet.
Hmm.
Um, but once again, I think is best used when you have that closed loop where you have solar, you have backup batteries. You're kind of like not depending on the grid, and I think
Hmm.
it works with that whole ethos best. That makes sense.
Gotcha, gotcha. I didn't want to derail where we were going, but I just wanted to ask a question about that, so we can get back to what you were saying before about the different ways to deal with inflation.
Yeah, yeah. So like, so the reason I'm saying what I said about the automobile service is that there's certain things that you may have to get done that if you go to the dealership, they're gonna charge you an exorbitant amount of money.
Hmm.
And then if you just find, for instance, alternatives, like for instance, like a dealership, the labor rate I want to say is in excess of 175 per hour, and then
Hmm.
the parts because they're gonna only use genuine parts is gonna be really crazy. Whereas if you go to like other places like is Mavis Discount Tire and Brake, which they bought NTB National Tire and Battery recently. They do certain services. Um, like I'll give you a good example, right? So I use full synthetic oil because it makes your engine last longer, and I spend extra on the oil because like they got certain oil formulations that can get you up to 20,000 miles in between changes. I don't go that far. I might
Hmm.
go 10 to 15, but like I said, that's really high quality oil. So like Mobile One has this formulation. So For instance, Walmart does oil changes. Now that same oil change at the dealership might cost you 120.
Mm-hmm.
You could go to Walmart, get the oil that you want, and it's like $80.
Mm-hmm.
Or like with Mavis, the one I can only speak to the Mavis that's here where I'm at, because it's not like other items like where they have to worry about warranty issues with the part. Like I'll bring them the oil and the filter. They only charge me $20 for the disposal
Mm-hmm.
because the way they're looking at it is real quick. They're making money and they out to do it. So I'll buy the oil and the filters for like $50, and then it's $20, and then spend $70 for the same service that I would have went to the dealership for. That had been $30-$40 more, right? Or like I recently my light bulb burnt out on my front beams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always better to replace both of them. So when I talk to, and it's sometimes well you can do it yourself, but A, time, B, doing it right. Like you could do YouTube tutorials and all that stuff, but like stuff like that, I just let someone else deal with it, right? And so for instance, instead of going to even like say one of the more downscale repair places, because like I think I talked to Firestone, I talked to a couple of different places. They wanted like just to replace the bulb. They wanted like the cost of the bulb and the replacement was going to be $100, right? How about I went to Walmart and I looked at their list of services. They replaced the bulb for $10 a piece
Mm-hmm.
for the exact same thing. Because Walmart is a distribution outlet. People have to look at Walmart differently. Like their thing is distribution. Because guess what? They'll do that service for you, right? They're still making a small profit. But while you're there, what are you going to do? Probably shop in the store.
Right.
So I was able to get both bulbs, and then I bought the bulbs from them, and the bulbs were cheaper. The same quality bulbs I was going to buy from one of those repair places, I was able to get the bulbs for a 2-pack for like $12. So I
Right.
spent maybe $30 replacing it. And so, like I said, just knowing that information, like I said, saves me money that way. Um,
Can you
using
see the
tech now.
screen?
Oh, somebody asked a question.
Yeah. Well, not so much a question, but he was making a statement on what you said.
Yeah, he found a local mechanic repair my car at greatly reduced cost compared to deal. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, like I said, especially if you have like there's this one mechanic that I've dealt with. He has like a company called Infiniser. And that only challenge with this dude is he is really good, and to the point where he might not be able to get to you for like a week or two. So sometimes we have a car repair, you can't wait that long, but he
Mm-hmm.
does really good work at a reasonable price. Like his labor rate in his shop is only $90 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
which is half of what you're going to pay at the dealership. But like I said, because he's so good, it just takes a lot. Like you have to be willing to commit to leaving your car with him for a day or two just for him to look at it and diagnose it. The guy was like a master mechanic for like um Nissan at one point. So he's just really good. But he knows all types of cars. But like yeah, so if you could get a good relationship with a mechanic like that, that's even better. Um but what I was getting to was using, like I said, technology. Like I said, using Google Shopping and Google Search, and then get a Gemini account. Because Gemini can actually, and then you can even get a free trial for 30 days, and you can put certain prompts in there with the AI, and it'll give you a result even faster. So, like for instance, if you want to find out who are the top 5 um, alarm companies, you can put that in, and Gemini spit it out to you, and then you can say, please rank it based on customer feedback and gathered prices. So using that technology can help you save time and money as well. Um, so this one, I'm gonna touch on this, and this may or may not be the situation for some people, but you know, if you have credit cards, how credit cards become really useful is the use of cash back. I'm not a points person. Like there's some people who really mastered the points hustle where like they use the credit card to pay for stuff and then they use the points and then they use the points for hotel travel, accommodations and stuff like that. That's one way. But how I try to use it is I use it as another form of like kind of short and long term savings. Because like for instance, like there's cards that will either give you anywhere from 2, 3, 5%. Some of them overall. Some of them specific categories. They'll let you pick up 5 categories.
Hmm.
At one point, I want to say Capital One and Walmart had a deal where they were giving 5% if you stopped at Walmart. But what ends up happening is the cash back it accumulates. Like at one point, Hope, I had this one card where it was so far. Matter of fact, I had like in a year and 2 months, I had accumulated $1,100 of cash back.
Hmm.
That and so and they gave you the option of either you could use it as a statement credit, you could get the actual cash back, you can put it into an investment account. But one of the options was weird. Like if you one option if you exercise, they only give you half it back, and it didn't make sense. So you obviously just take the cash. But the reason, like I said, it's a useful tool because now it's kind of a way of forced savings. And if you use your credit card the right way, you can escape paying the interest. So, for instance, when you get your due date on your credit card, your due date, like say, is the 15th, but your statement date is say the 19th. What you can do if you can plan it this way, and everyone's budget is different, but if you wait to the 20th, 21st, it's a new statement cycle. It doesn't report to your credit, and then you make your charges in that time frame, and then you line it up kind of like with how you know you get paid or what resources you have, and then you'll have that time where that's interest. It's basically interest-free loan for that 21 to 25 days, right? Now
Hmm.
you can take it another level, right? Now, who's familiar with layaway?
Everybody.
Everyone's okay. So what if I told you now that they found a way to make layaway a fintech thing? So who's familiar with the buy now, pay later phenomenon? Who's familiar with like Klarna and a firm and something like so? A firm is, for instance, publicly traded, right? A firm
Hmm.
is actually kind of crushing it. They're one of the hottest stocks, right? So a firm is partnered with like retailers like Walmart, but you can get your own Affirm account. And what it does is it lets you stretch your spending power, right? So like when you go to Walmart, you can sign up to get an Affirm account. And what they'll do is like say you wanted to buy a more expensive item, but you don't want, like I said, pay potential interest charges, right? Kind of you couple this with the strategy I just gave you, you get the Affirm account, and what they'll do is they'll only charge a portion of it to your spending method, right? So I have like a credit card, on file with Walmart, right? And then what they'll do is they'll take a small portion of it and then they'll break it down. And then if you do it within 6 weeks, they don't charge you any interest. If you go beyond 6 weeks, then they'll maybe charge you interest charges, and that's it gets a little bit steep. But if you do it within that 6 week time frame, now it gives you the ability to extend it and turn it into like a 60-day same as cash. So let me pull up a firm. Let's see, affirm.com. And it's pretty cool. Like I said, they do a soft pull on your credit. They don't do a hard pull. But once you get the account, like I said, and I tell this to everyone, once you pay them off early, they'll give you like a low limit. But once they see that you pay, so when I initially got the account, they gave me like a $2,000 limit, right? Which is fine because I don't really run up, big purchases like that. But then I went and paid. Matter of fact, it was for that piece of cookware I bought. And then when I paid it off, it jumped about my limit from 2,600 or 6,700, something like that. But like I said, the benefit is when you have this account, it's not just for this Walmart. If you go to their site, you could type in the retailer, and they'll tell you what your limit is for each retailer. And like I said, they'll break it down to the first payment might be, 1/3 of what it costs, and that'll actually go on your credit card, and then you can set up a payment cycle over the course of the next 6 weeks. And what that does, like I said, because you're putting the whole amount on the credit card, you're able to get away from any potential interest charges. Because now, you know, let's say you spent $400 and they say, okay, today you pay 100. Okay, you're getting paid your paycheck. You're gonna have $500 left over. You can pay 100 now. Then the next pay cycle, right? You're gonna get another check, but then your payment for a firm is going to be due in another 2 weeks. You can get ahead of that, pay them, right? And now the interest charges are not going to be on your card, right? And this is just another tool because you may have to spend something that costs more, right? So rather than have to put it all on your card at once, you can manage the pay schedule so that way you're not, sucking up all your spending power in one place. Does
Just to
that
let
make
you know, we got like 5 minutes left.
okay? Okay.
Yeah.
And let's see. What are some of the other things that so one of the other things is taking advantage of seasonal sales and clearance events and liquidations, right? You can, check for like any type of liquidation sales that are going to happen using shopping lists so that way they'll let you know when prices go down with different retailers. Um, and that's I want to say that's pretty much it. I hope it was informative, and the reason I did this is because me and Hope was talking about is like you have to be solution based. Like if we sit around and put our heads in the sand and just say, oh well, administration's here, and my life's gonna be horrible, it will be. But if you find a way to be proactive, you can still have a better quality of life. And so that's why I wanted to at least put these ideas out there, so that way you can have a opportunity to stretch your resources. So, is any other insights or questions anyone had?
I'm on mute and I'm talking. Didn't even realize it. What I was gonna say is I have some suggestions if you're doing online shopping. Um, and I use Chrome as my main browser. So I
Mm-hmm.
have like Cently, Cently is one.
Oh, okay.
Capital One Shopping is another extension. Karma, Karma, and Honey.
Yes.
Because I've gotten some great deals. Like I'll shop because what happens is when you go to an item, it'll pop up and show you that you can get this item for less or there's some type of discount attached to it. And I've gotten
Yep.
some really good deals doing online shopping and using those extensions. So I
I
would
forgot
suggest,
about honey.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I've
would
had it
suggest,
on my extension, so I forgot all about honey. It's
yeah.
kind of like one of those things that's been in the background because yeah, when you go to shop, it'll pop up and it'll have a little smiley face on it. Yeah.
So yeah, man. Yeah, this was cool.
Yeah. So
Always a
basically,
pleasure, my friend.
no doubt, you have to become like the price line negotiator in these times.
Yes. Oh, you know what? One last thing before we go. Can you explain tariffs to our audience to explain to them what's
Uh,
going on
so
briefly?
so tariffs are basically price add-ons that a government puts on for imports, and the whole idea is to try to encourage um, products that are like either like locally produced or created to be pushed to the forefront. But the way they end up working is it makes things worse because the other country will try to, well, not try to, but they put retaliatory tariffs on products that you send to their country. And so it's kind of like an eye for an eye, everyone ends up blind type deal. And so the tariffs, they really don't work the way, because of how globalism has worked, they really don't work out the way that people think that they're supposed to work out because you know the market kind of decides, and there's usually a flight to quality and price, and so the tariffs don't really benefit the way that people think they're going. So all these
A lot
tariffs
of
and stuff.
people, a lot of people think that when you put a tariff on Chinese goods, that the Chinese pay the tariff.
No, you pay the tariff.
See, that's the thing. A lot of people are mistaken on how it actually works. So they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put tariffs on China." Like, no, it's not how it works.
No, because like one of the things that he's threatened recently is that that they're trying. There's a move to destabilize the petrodollar, and so with the petrodollar, this was kind of like, without getting too wonky. Basically, the House of Saud has been propped up by the U.S. government for the better part of 70 years, and they made kind of a deal with the devil where, in exchange for getting, protection from the U.S. military in the Middle East, they denominate the price of oil in the U.S. dollar. So the reason the dollar is so strong is because A, the military, B, because of the petrodollar, and in order for you to exchange to get oil, you have to get dollars. And so one of the reasons that the U.S. does foreign aid and all these other things is to prop up the dollar, because the more dollars in circulation is demand. So that's why they do so many things. Because if you kept all the dollars inside the country, inflation technically would probably be higher. And so he's threatened to put these high tariffs on all these oil producing countries that are in like OPEC and all that stuff, and the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China. He says if they try to destabilize the dollar, that he's going to put these 100% tariffs on their goods.
Ooh, okay, all righty.
So fun times ahead.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll get into that in another live. But
Yeah,
thank you,
definitely.
sir. Thank you, sir. Always a
All
pleasure.
right, no doubt.
And peace to everybody. Enjoy your Sunday. Holler at y'all later. Peace.